Before we dive into this AI tool review that will provide clear insights, make sure to subscribe to the channel as we upload new tool review podcasts every day.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into AI video creation, specifically with Fliki. We've got a 2025 review, so pretty recent, and we're going to try and help you guys figure out if Fliki is the right tool for you.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic.
For sure, for sure. So Fliki claims to make video creation like sending a text message, but we'll see about that.
Right.
I mean, they say they support over 75 languages and have more than, get this, 1,300 AI voices, plus unlimited storage, and you get high-resolution output. That's pretty impressive. What do you think?
Yeah, those are some big numbers. Sounds like they're really going after a global audience of creators, different needs and all that. And that high-resolution thing, specifically 1080p, that's pretty standard these days, you know. Make sure your videos look good on any screen.
Makes sense, especially with all the huge screens people watch content on these days.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we get too excited, though, I saw that this review mentioned a no-refund policy. Seems a little bit risky. What do you think?
Yeah, it definitely makes you wonder, right? Could be they're really confident about their product. Like they think it's so good you won't need a refund. But then again, it might make some people hesitate.
Yeah, if you want that safety net of a refund, that could be a deal breaker.
Right.
Okay, so let's back up a bit. Can you tell us what exactly is Fliki?
So Fliki is basically this AI platform. It turns text into video.
Okay.
So you give it a script, and their AI does the visuals, the voiceover, even the editing. You get a finished video.
All right, so I can see why people are interested. Sounds like it could be a big deal for people who don't like video editing, you know?
For sure.
Or if they just don't have the time for it.
Yeah.
Now, what makes these AI voices different from, like, a regular computer voice?
Ah, that's a great question. These AI voices use some really advanced stuff, machine learning and all that. They're trained on huge data sets of human speech.
Okay.
So what you get are really realistic voiceovers. It's not just reading words. It's like they understand the inflections, the pauses, even like the emotional tone.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Sounds like they've really nailed those human-sounding AI voices then.
Yeah, I think so.
Now, this review digs into some of Fliki's big features, and there are a few surprises, like they only offer 8 video templates.
Oh, wow.
Seems a bit limited, especially when you think about all the different types of videos out there. What do you think?
Yeah, that does make you wonder about how much creative freedom you have. I mean, 8 templates might be enough for basic stuff. But if you want something really unique, really custom, that might not cut it.
Exactly. And speaking of custom, the review mentions limited customization. What does that even mean?
Yeah, it's a little vague, right?
Yeah.
Probably means you can do some basic edits like where the text goes, maybe some color adjustments, adding music. But if you want to get really fancy with transitions or special effects, you might hit a wall.
So it's like a trade-off then.
Well,
easier to use, but less control.
That's possible.
Another thing that stood out to me was the video length. They cap it at 5 to 30 minutes. What do you think? Is that enough for most people?
That's a good point. I mean, for stuff like social media clips, explainers, maybe product demos, 30 minutes is probably fine. But if you're doing like longer tutorials, educational content, documentaries even, you might need to look elsewhere.
For sure. And then there's collaboration, too. The review says Fliki only has single user accounts. That seems like a problem for businesses or teams.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not very team-friendly if you can't share projects or work together.
Definitely a big limitation.
Yeah.
All right, so it seems like there's a lot to like about Fliki, but there's some things to watch out for, too.
Right.
Before we get into the pros and cons, let's take a minute to learn about the people behind this platform.
Yeah, so the founders are Sabir Ahmed and Atul Yadav.
Okay.
Their vision was to make video creation easy for everyone, no matter what your tech skills are.
I like that.
Yeah. They wanted to give everyone the power to share their ideas and stories through video, no matter their budget or experience.
That's a really cool goal. Sounds like they're onto something, especially with how popular video is these days.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at this review's breakdown of Fliki's features. They've even got ratings. I'm really curious about the AI voices category. They gave it a perfect score. Can you tell us more about why these voices are so special?
Yeah, so like we said before, these aren't those robotic computer voices. Fliki uses some really high-tech AI to make the voices sound super realistic. They capture the nuances of human speech, so it's not just flat, monotone delivery.
Okay.
They have over 1,300 voices, different languages, accents, tones, the whole works.
Wow.
So you can really find the perfect voice to match your brand or your message.
That's incredible. That's got to be so useful for creators, especially if they want to reach a global audience.
For sure.
What about the other features? Anything else in this rating table that caught your eye?
Well, they scored really high for ease of use, which isn't surprising. It fits with their whole mission of making video creation super simple.
Right, that's been their big selling point. But do you think focusing on making it so simple, does that mean they're sacrificing some of the more advanced stuff?
It's a good question. I mean, making it easy to use is great, especially for beginners. But you don't want to make it so simple that it's limiting for more experienced creators.
Exactly. That's something we'll have to keep in mind as we dig deeper into Fliki.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's move on to the good and bad section. I'm ready to hear about those pros and cons, and especially that no refund policy. That's a big one.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so welcome back, everyone. We've talked about some of the basics of Fliki, but now I want to get into, like, the nitty-gritty, the strengths, the weaknesses, all that.
Yeah, for sure.
This review said one of the big pros is how easy it is to use, especially for beginners. But do you think more experienced creators are going to find it limiting?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I could definitely see how Fliki would be really appealing for people who are new to video editing.
Yeah.
It's got that simple interface. It just takes all the complexity out of it. But yeah, if you're someone who's used to having a lot of control over the details, it might not be enough.
Right. So how do you think Fliki balances making it easy to use with giving people those more advanced features?
Well, honestly, this review didn't really go deep into like the specifics of what you can edit. They just said limited customization.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say for sure,
I wish they'd given more detail on that. Like, what kind of edits can you actually make? Can you mess with the pacing, add transitions, that kind of thing?
Exactly, yeah. Because those are the things that really make a video flow well visually. It's hard to know if Fliki is really good for more experienced video creators without knowing that stuff.
Now, one thing the review did praise was the language support. All those AI voices, all those languages, they called it a game changer for reaching a global audience. But is that really like a practical benefit for most people?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big selling point. It shows they're really trying to be inclusive and make it work for everyone. But I guess it depends on who you're actually trying to reach with your videos. Like, if your content is only for English speakers, it doesn't really matter that they have 75 other languages.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in all the fancy features without thinking about if you'll actually use them.
Right, exactly.
Okay, but what about those AI voices, though? What makes them so much better than, like, other text-to-speech stuff out there?
Well, we talked about this a little bit before. Fliki says they use some really advanced AI to make the voices sound like real people.
Yeah.
It's not just robotic reading, They got those inflections, those pauses. They can even sound emotional.
Okay, so it's about more than just, like, getting the words out there. It's about making it sound natural, like a real person is talking. But do you think they're as good as, like, a professional voice actor?
That's a good question. I mean, AI voices have come a long way, but they're probably still not quite at the level of a human,
Right.
A human voice can really connect with an audience in a way that AI just can't, at least not yet.
I agree. And sometimes you just need that human touch, especially if you're trying to convey certain emotions.
For sure.
But I guess it comes down to budget too, right? And how fast you need the voiceover done.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Fliki's speed. This review said it was one of their strengths, that you can make videos with, like, realistic voiceovers in minutes. Is that even possible?
Yeah, I think for simpler videos, it probably is.
That's okay.
Especially if the visuals are pretty basic.
Mm-hmm.
That whole AI thing is supposed to make it really fast,
Okay.
But I'd imagine the more complex the video, the longer it takes.
Right, so it's not like instant magic.
No, not
You
quite.
still got to put in the work to script it, get the visuals right, all that.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, let's switch gears and talk about some of the downsides. We've talked about the refund policy and the customization stuff, but the review also mentioned that Fliki needs an internet connection to work.
Oh, yeah, right. That's because it's all cloud-based.
Right. So what does that mean for users?
Well, it means you can't use it offline, which is kind of a bummer. Like, if you travel a lot or you're somewhere with bad internet, you're out of luck.
Yeah, that's a good point. And what about security? All your stuff is stored on their servers.
Yeah, that's something to think about, for sure. You got to trust that they're keeping your data safe.
Okay, let's go back to the pricing for a minute. We talked about the free plan, but the paid ones give you more features, right?
Right.
How do their prices compare to like other AI video tools out there?
That's a good question. At first glance, their prices seem pretty good. But you got to compare them to other platforms that do the same kind of stuff,
Right.
Some of them might give you more for your money, especially when it comes to features or like how many AI voices they have.
So it's not just about looking at the price tag, it's about figuring out what's actually included.
Exactly. And you got to think about how you're actually going to use it. Some platforms charge you based on how many videos you make or how many minutes of video you export. Others have different subscription levels.
Price.
So you got to find the model that works best for you.
Okay, so it's about finding that balance between price and features.
Right. Exactly.
And don't forget about any extra costs, like if you need stock footage or if you decide to hire a real voice actor instead of using AI.
Yeah, good point.
Now, the review mentioned a couple of things that Fliki does differently from the competition. One was the stock media library. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. So Fliki gives you access to like a bunch of royalty-free images, videos, music, stuff you can use in your videos.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to go searching for stuff on your own or pay for an expensive stock media subscription.
That's pretty handy, especially for people who might not have a lot of experience with that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good way to make your videos look more professional without spending a lot of money.
Now, with all this AI stuff, some people might be worried about, like, the learning curve. Is Fliki really as easy to use as they say, or do you need to be, like, a tech genius to figure it out?
I mean, there's always going to be a bit of a learning curve with any new software. Right.
But Fliki's interface is pretty straightforward, and they've got tutorials and stuff to help you out.
Okay, so you don't need to be a programmer or anything.
No, not at all.
Just got to be willing to, like, learn something new.
Exactly. And the more you use it, the easier it'll get.
Now, one big question with AI tools is like, how much creative control do you actually have?
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
Some people worry that using AI is going to limit their creativity, Like they're not going to be able to express their vision the way they want to.
I can see that. I mean, AI is all about automating stuff, making things easier.
Right.
But I don't think it has to dictate your creative choices. Like, at the end of the day, Fliki is just a tool. It's up to you how you use it.
So it's about finding that balance, like using the AI to help you, but still staying in control of your vision.
Exactly. And that balance might be different for every creator, depending on their style and the project they're working on. Okay, now, before we wrap up, I want to talk about something that comes up a lot with AI. What about its impact on jobs? Some people are worried that AI is going to take over, especially in creative fields.
Yeah, that's a big one.
What do you think about that?
It's complicated, for sure. Like, there's no doubt that AI is changing the way we work. Some jobs are definitely being automated. But I don't think it's as simple as AI replacing humans,
Yeah. Right.
I think it's more about figuring out how AI and humans can work together. Like, AI can take care of the boring, repetitive tasks. And that frees up humans to focus on the more creative stuff.
So it's like using AI to make our jobs better, not to eliminate them altogether.
Yeah, exactly. AI can be a tool that empowers us, not something that replaces us.
That's a much more optimistic way of looking at
I
it.
think so. Like, instead of being afraid of AI, we should embrace it and see what new opportunities it creates.
I like that. That's a great point. So it's about adapting, learning new skills, and finding ways to use AI to our advantage.
Exactly. And as AI keeps getting more advanced, it's important to stay informed and be a part of the conversation about how we use it ethically.
Well said. That's a really good point to end on. I think this has been a really interesting discussion, and I hope our listeners got a lot out of it. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a new topic, so stay tuned. Okay, so welcome back for the final part of our Fliki deep dive. We've talked about the features, the good, the bad, all that. So what's the verdict? Is Fliki really going to change the game for AI video creation? Or is it just another tool that's going to be forgotten in a couple of months?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, it definitely seems promising. It's easy to use. It's got some cool AI stuff going on. But like we've been saying, it depends what you need it for.
Yeah, that's true. It's not like a magic solution for everyone. So who do you think Fliki is really good for?
Well, from what we've seen, I think it's perfect for people who are just starting out with video creation. Or like businesses that need to make simple videos, but they need them fast. The interface is so simple, you don't need to be a video editing expert to figure it out.
So it takes away that barrier to entry for people who are intimidated by like traditional video editing software.
Exactly. And you've got all those AI voices, the stock media library. It's all right there. You can make something that looks pretty professional without having to like be a designer or anything.
That makes sense. But what about people who are already like experienced with video creation? Do you think they're going to find Fliki limiting?
Yeah, that's where the customization thing comes in. We talked about how the customization is limited. And that could be a problem for people who are used to having a lot of control over their edits.
Yeah, if you're used to using really advanced software with all the bells and whistles, you might not like Fliki.
Right. And then there's that no refund policy, which doesn't really help if you're not sure it's going to work for you.
So it's a good tool for beginners for sure, and for anyone who wants to make videos quickly and easily. But if you're a pro, you might want to try it out first before committing.
Definitely, yeah. Do your research, compare it to other tools out there, see what fits your needs best.
Okay, so let's look at the bigger picture for a second. How do you think AI is going to change video creation in the future?
Oh, man, I think it's already changing things so fast. Like, AI is just getting more and more sophisticated. We're going to see tools that can create videos that are even more realistic, even more personalized.
So we're entering a whole new era of video creation then.
I think so, yeah. And it raises some really interesting questions about, like, the role of human creativity in all of this.
Right, because there's that whole debate about whether AI is going to replace human creators.
Yeah. I don't think it's that simple, though. I mean, sure, AI can automate some things, but it can't really replicate the human touch. That creativity, that emotion, that storytelling ability.
So it's not AI versus humans, it's about AI and humans working together.
Exactly. AI can do the grunt work, and humans can focus on the stuff that really requires, like, that human spark.
That's a good way to think about it. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? There are some challenges too, like how do we make sure AI is used ethically, especially when it comes to creating content?
Yeah, that's super important. We need to have some rules, some guidelines to make sure AI is used responsibly. Transparency, accountability, all that. We can't just let AI run wild.
Well said. It's a really exciting time for video creation, but we need to be thoughtful about how we use these new tools.
Absolutely. The future is full of possibilities, but we have to make sure we're using AI to enhance creativity, not destroy it.
Okay, so that wraps up our deep dive into Fliki. I hope you learned something new. Maybe you're even thinking about trying it out yourself.
Yeah, definitely check it out. See what you think.
And keep in mind, the world of AI is constantly evolving. So stay curious, keep learning, and let's see where this technology takes us next.
That's the spirit.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.